Emma Martinez walked through the busy market of Sanctuary Station with her friends. The place was full of aliens from dozens of different worlds. Some were tall and thin, others were short and wide. Some had scales, some had fur, and some looked like walking crystals. The air smelled like a mix of strange spices and engine fuel. Voices in 100 different languages filled the space around them. "This place never gets old," Ben Harris said. He was looking at a shop that sold glowing plants from a world 3 systems away. "I mean, look at this stuff. It's amazing." Kate Sullivan laughed. She was carrying a bag of some kind of alien fruit she had bought from a friendly trader. "You say that every time we dock here, Ben, every single time." Emma smiled. She loved shore leave at Sanctuary Station. After months on the exploration vessel Horizon, it felt good to walk on solid ground and see something other than the same metal walls. She stopped at a stall where an alien with 4 arms was selling small carved stones. Each one had a different symbol on it. "These are beautiful," Emma said to the vendor. "What do they mean?" The alien, whose species Emma did not recognize, made a clicking sound that her translator turned into words. "They are wishes. You pick one, and it brings you what you need most." Emma picked up a stone with a spiral pattern. It was warm in her hand. She was about to ask how much it cost when a loud alarm started blaring through the station. The sound was sharp and painful. Red lights began flashing everywhere. People around them stopped moving. Emma saw fear on many faces, both human and alien. The alarm meant emergency. Something was very wrong. "Attention all personnel," a voice said over the station speakers. "There has been a structural failure in Commercial Sector 7. Emergency teams respond immediately. All others clear the area." Emma felt her stomach drop. Sector 7 was right next to where they were standing. She heard a deep groaning sound, like metal being twisted. Then came a crash so loud it hurt her ears. "Run!" someone shouted. People started pushing and running in all directions. Emma saw a wall of dust and debris rolling toward them from the direction of Sector 7. She grabbed Ben's arm and pulled him behind a support column. Kate was right behind them. The dust cloud passed over them. Emma coughed and covered her face. When the air started to clear, she looked around. The beautiful market was now covered in dust and broken pieces of the station. Some of the stalls had been crushed. Others were on fire. Then she heard the screaming. "We need to help," Emma said. She did not wait for her friends to answer. She ran toward Sector 7. The scene was worse than she had imagined. A cargo transport had crashed through the ceiling of the sector. Large pieces of metal and station structure had fallen everywhere. There were injured people all around. Some were moving and crying out. Others were not moving at all. Emma was a medical technician. She had training for this. She ran to the nearest injured person, a human woman with blood running down her face. "Stay still," Emma said. "Help is coming." She tore a piece of cloth from her own sleeve and pressed it against the woman's head wound. Around her, Ben and Kate were helping other people. More crew members from the Horizon arrived. Station security and medical teams were coming too, but there were so many injured. Emma moved from person to person. She stopped bleeding where she could. She checked airways and pulses. She tried to comfort those who were scared. Her hands were covered in blood, both red human blood and other colors she had never seen before. That was when she saw him. An alien was trapped under a large piece of metal debris. His scales were a beautiful crystalline color, like looking at a rainbow through ice. But those scales were turning gray. Emma knew what that meant in most species. It meant dying. She ran to him and dropped to her knees. "Can you hear me?" The alien's eyes opened. They were golden and bright, even though his scales were losing color. "Human," he said. His voice was soft, and her translator had trouble picking it up. "Do not waste time on me. Help the others." "Not a chance," Emma said. She tried to lift the debris, but it was too heavy. "Ben! Kate! I need help over here!" Her friends came running. Together, the three of them managed to lift the metal beam enough for Emma to pull the alien free. When she laid him on the ground, she saw the problem immediately. A sharp piece of debris had cut through his side. Dark blue blood was pumping out fast. Emma pressed her hands against the wound, but the blood kept coming. Too much blood. The alien's scales were almost completely gray now. "I need a medical kit," Emma shouted. A station doctor ran over with a case. The doctor was an alien with 4 arms and green skin. "That is a Thessian," the doctor said. "His name is Vecrin. The wound is too deep. He has lost too much blood." "Then give him more blood," Emma said. "Do a transfusion." The doctor shook his head. "We have no Thessian blood in stock. The supply ship is not due for 3 hours. He will not survive that long." Emma felt her heart sink. She looked down at Vecrin. His golden eyes were still open, still aware. He was dying, and there was nothing she could do. "Wait," the doctor said. He pulled out a medical scanner and ran it over Vecrin, then over Emma. His eyes went wide. "This is unusual. Human blood has proteins that might work. Your type, O negative, could keep him alive long enough for the supply to arrive." Emma did not hesitate. "Then let's do it." "You do not understand," the doctor said. "We would need much of your blood, more than is safe for a normal donation. You would be weak for weeks, and it might not even work. This has never been done before." Emma looked at Vecrin. She thought about her grandmother, who had been saved by a stranger's blood when Emma was a child. She thought about all the people her grandmother had loved and raised because someone chose to help. She thought about what it meant to be human, to be part of something bigger than yourself. The medical bay was chaos. Injured people filled every bed and spilled out into the hallways. Doctors and nurses rushed between patients. The air smelled like antiseptic and blood. Emma could hear crying and shouting in a dozen different languages. They brought Vecrin into an operating room. The doctor, whose name was Bex, started connecting machines to the dying Thessian. Emma watched the monitors. Vecrin's heartbeat was getting slower. The numbers on the screen were dropping fast. "We need to prepare you," Bex said to Emma. "Sit here." Emma sat on a medical table next to Vecrin. Another nurse came over and started checking her vital signs. The nurse was human, a young man with worried eyes. "Are you sure about this?" the nurse asked quietly. "They're going to take a lot of blood from you. You could get really sick." Emma nodded. "I'm sure." The doors to the operating room burst open. Captain Gregory Pierce walked in, his face red with anger and worry. Behind him were Ben and Kate, both looking concerned. "Martinez, what the hell do you think you're doing?" Pierce demanded. "Saving a life, sir," Emma said calmly. "You're off duty," Pierce said. "This isn't your responsibility." "We have protocols for this kind of situation." "Protocols won't save him in time," Emma replied. "I can. That makes it my responsibility." Pierce looked at her for a long moment. Then he looked at Vecrin, whose scales were now almost entirely gray. "The Thessian government has been contacted. They say their people do not accept this kind of help. They believe in self-reliance. They won't want one of their own saved this way." "Then they can tell me that themselves after he's alive," Emma said. Before Pierce could respond, the doors opened again. A female Thessian rushed into the room. Her scales were a deep blue color, but they were flickering with darker shades. Emma's medical training told her this meant extreme distress. The Thessian went straight to Vecrin's side. "My mate," the female Thessian said. Her voice broke. "Vecrin," Bex spoke gently. "Are you Shireen? We contacted you. Your mate is dying. This human has offered her blood to save him, but we need your permission." Shireen looked at Emma with large, silver eyes. Those eyes were full of pain. "You would do this? For someone you do not know?" "Yes," Emma said simply. Shireen's scales flickered through several colors. In our culture, we do not ask others to sacrifice for us. We face death with dignity. Vecrin would not want you to risk yourself. Emma slid off the medical table and walked over to Shireen. She took the Thessian's hand. It was cooler than a human hand, and the crystalline scales felt smooth under her fingers. "I had a grandmother," Emma said. "When she was young, she was in an accident. She would have died, but a stranger gave her blood. That stranger saved her life. Because of that person, my grandmother lived. She had children. Those children had children. I exist because someone chose to help her. I've never met the person who saved her. I don't even know their name. But I think about them sometimes. I think about how one choice to help changed everything for my whole family." Shireen's scales shimmered. A single tear ran down her face. Thessians rarely cried. Emma had read that in a report once. "You honor us," Shireen said quietly. "If you wish to do this, I will not stop you. But know that the Thessian people will remember this debt. We do not forget kindness." Emma squeezed Shireen's hand and then returned to the medical table. "Let's get started." Bex and his team worked quickly. They put a large needle in Emma's arm and another in Vecrin's. The machines hummed as they started pumping Emma's blood out and filtering it before sending it into the Thessian's body. Emma watched her blood flow through the clear tubes. It looked so red against the white walls of the medical bay. She started to feel cold. Bex wrapped a blanket around her shoulders. "How are you feeling?" Bex asked. "Fine," Emma lied. She was already feeling dizzy, but she did not want them to stop. Captain Pierce stood against the wall with his arms crossed. He looked angry, but Emma could see worry in his eyes too. Ben and Kate stood nearby, ready to help if needed. Minutes passed. Emma's head felt light. The room seemed to spin a little. She gripped the edge of the medical table to keep steady. Then something happened. Vecrin's scales started to change. The gray color began to fade. Small flickers of color appeared, like tiny lights turning on one by one. First just a few, then more, then more. The monitors showed his heartbeat getting stronger. "It's working," Beck said. He sounded amazed. "By the ancestors, it's actually working." Shireen made a sound that was half laugh and half sob. She pressed her hand to Vecrin's chest, right over his heart. "My love, stay with me. Please stay." Emma smiled, even though she felt terrible. Her vision was getting blurry. The room was spinning more now. She heard Bex telling the team to take more blood. She wanted to tell them it was okay, that they should take whatever Vecrin needed, but her mouth did not seem to want to work right. "Her blood pressure is dropping," someone said. "Just a little more," Bex said. "He's almost stable." Emma focused on Vecrin. His scales were almost back to their normal color now. Beautiful and bright, like crystals in the sun. She watched those scales and thought about her grandmother. She thought about all the people who were alive because someone had chosen to help. She thought about how maybe, somewhere far in the future, someone would exist because of what she was doing right now. The thought made her happy. "That's enough," Bex said firmly. "Stop the transfusion. She's given too much already." The machines stopped humming. The nurse removed the needle from Emma's arm and pressed gauze over the spot. Emma tried to sit up, but the room tilted sideways. "Easy," Kate said. She was suddenly there, holding Emma's shoulders. "Don't try to move." "Is he okay?" Emma asked. Her voice sounded strange and far away. "Look," Ben said. Emma turned her head. It took a lot of effort. Vecrin's eyes were open. He was looking around the room with confusion. When his eyes found Shireen, his scales turned a warm gold color. "Shireen?" Vecrin's voice was weak but clear. "What happened?" Shireen pressed her forehead against his. It was a Thessian gesture of deep love. "You almost left me," she said. "But this human saved you. She gave you her own blood." Vecrin turned his head to look at Emma. His golden eyes were full of something Emma had never seen in a Thessian before. Her reports had said they were logical and cold, that they did not show emotion. But Vecrin's eyes were full of feeling. Emma woke up 3 days later. The first thing she saw was white ceiling panels. The second thing was Kate sitting in a chair beside her bed, fast asleep with her head tilted back at an angle that looked uncomfortable. "Kate," Emma said. Her voice came out as a whisper. Kate's eyes flew open. "Emma, oh, thank God." She jumped up and pressed a button on the wall. "She's awake! Someone get Bex!" Within seconds, the room filled with people. Bex came rushing in with 2 nurses. Ben appeared from somewhere, looking like he had not slept in days. Even Captain Pierce was there, standing in the doorway. "How do you feel?" Bex asked. He was scanning her with a medical device. "Tired," Emma said. "Weak. Like I ran a marathon and then got hit by a truck." "That is accurate," Bex said. "You gave more blood than any human should give and survive. You have been unconscious for 3 days. We were worried." Emma tried to sit up, but her arms shook with the effort. Kate helped her, adjusting the bed so Emma could lean back against the pillows. "Vecrin?" Emma asked. "Is he alive?" Bex's face split into a smile. "Very much alive. He has been asking about you constantly. The Thessian blood supply arrived hours after the transfusion, and we were able to complete his treatment. He is making a full recovery." Relief flooded through Emma. "Good. That's good." "Good?" Pierce said from the doorway. His voice was hard. "Martinez, do you have any idea what you've done?" Emma looked at him, confused. "Sir?" Pierce walked into the room. His face was difficult to read. "You've created a diplomatic situation that's keeping me up at night. The Thessian government has been sending messages non-stop. The Galactic Council wants a statement. News organizations from 40 different species are camped outside this station wanting to talk to you, and apparently there's a medical breakthrough that's going to change everything." "I don't understand," Emma said. Bex pulled up a display screen. "We analyzed your blood and how it interacted with Vecrin's biology. The compatibility is remarkable. Your blood did not just keep him alive, it worked almost perfectly with his system. We believe we can develop universal treatments using this compatibility. Treatments that could save thousands of lives, both human and Thessian." Emma stared at the screen. She saw charts and graphs that she did not fully understand. "You mean my blood type can help more people?" "Not just your type," Beck said excitedly. "All human blood has these proteins, but yours showed us it was possible. We are calling it the Martinez factor. Medical teams are already working on developing new protocols. The Thessian Council has also been in contact," Pierce added. His voice was softer now. "They want to meet with you. All of them. They're calling you a bridge between our peoples." Emma felt overwhelmed. "I just wanted to help one person. I didn't mean to start anything big." Kate laughed. "Well, you did. Emma, you're kind of famous now, like really famous." Ben held up his communication device. "There are articles about you on news feeds across the galaxy. They're calling you the human who changed everything." Emma closed her eyes. This was too much. She had just wanted to save someone's life. She had not thought about what would come after. "Can I see him?" Emma asked. "Vecrin, can I see that he's okay?" Bex nodded. "I will arrange it. But first you need to rest more and eat. You need to rebuild your strength." Over the next few days, Emma slowly recovered. She ate foods that were supposed to help her body make new blood. She took supplements and vitamins. She slept a lot, but mostly she dealt with the constant stream of visitors. Representatives from the Thessian government came to thank her. Scientists came to ask permission to study her blood further. Even other species sent diplomats to express their respect. A group of Kryn warriors came and performed some kind of salute that involved banging their chests and shouting. It hurt Emma's ears, but Kate told her later it was the highest honor they could give. Finally, after a week, Bex said she could have visitors who were not official. Shireen came first. The female Thessian walked into Emma's room carrying a small box. Her scales were a peaceful blue color with flickers of gold. "Emma Martinez," Shireen said, "I do not have words in any language to thank you properly." "You don't need to thank me," Emma said. "How is Vekrin?" "See for yourself," a voice said from the doorway. Vekrin walked in. He moved slowly, still recovering, but he was alive. His scales were bright and healthy. When he saw Emma, they shimmered through a rainbow of colors. "You look better," Emma said with a smile. Vekrin came to her bedside. He did something Emma had never seen a Thessian do. He knelt down, lowering himself below her eye level. It was a position of deep respect. "You gave me my life," Vekrin said. "You risked your own survival for someone you did not know, someone not even of your species. I have lived for 60 of your years, and I have never heard of such a thing." "Where I come from, we help each other," Emma said. "It doesn't matter if you're human or Thessian or anything else. Life is life." Vekrin's scales flickered with colors Emma could not name. "The Thessian people have prided themselves on logic and self-reliance for thousands of years. We have looked down on species who show too much emotion or who act without thinking. But you have taught us something. Sometimes the most logical thing is to care. Sometimes the strongest thing is to give." Shireen opened the box she had been carrying. Inside was a crystal pendant on a silver chain. The crystal was the same color as Vekrin's scales, shimmering with inner light. "This is a piece of my heart scale," Vekrin said. "In our culture, we grow one special scale over our hearts. It takes a lifetime to form. When we want to honor someone beyond all others, we give them a piece of it. I want you to have this." Emma felt tears in her eyes. "I can't take this. It's too much." "You gave me your blood," Vekrin said simply. "I give you a piece of my heart. It is a fair trade." Shireen placed the pendant around Emma's neck. The crystal felt warm against her skin. "There is more," Vekrin said. He stood up slowly. "The Thessian Council has made a decision. They wish to create a new medical agreement with humanity. They are calling it the Martinez Accord. It will establish medical sharing between our peoples. Your name will be part of our history forever." Emma did not know what to say. She looked down at the crystal pendant, then back at Vekrin and Shireen. These two aliens had become more real to her than most people she knew. "I just did what anyone should do," Emma said quietly. "No," Shireen said firmly. "You did what few would do. That is why it matters. That is why we will remember." After they left, Emma sat alone in her room. She held the crystal pendant in her hand and watched how the light moved through it. She thought about her grandmother, about the stranger who had saved her all those years ago. She wondered if that person had known what their kindness would mean. She wondered if they had known how far the ripples would spread. Kate came in later with food and found Emma crying. "What's wrong?" Kate asked, concerned. "Nothing's wrong," Emma said, wiping her eyes. "I'm just thinking about how strange life is, how one choice can change so much." "I was just trying to help one person." Kate sat down on the edge of the bed. "And now you've helped thousands, maybe more." 2 weeks after waking up, Emma was finally strong enough to travel. The Thessian Council had formally requested her presence on their homeworld. Captain Pierce had tried to give her an out, saying she could send a message instead, but Emma refused. If they wanted to honor her, the least she could do was show up. The journey to Thessia Prime took 3 days. Emma spent most of it resting in her quarters on the horizon. Ben and Kate checked on her constantly. She appreciated their concern, but sometimes she just wanted to be alone with her thoughts. On the morning they arrived, Emma stood at the observation window and watched Thessia Prime come into view. the planet was beautiful. Its surface sparkled with massive crystal formations that caught the light of its sun. Cities were built around these natural structures, blending architecture with nature in a way that took Emma's breath away. "Nervous?" Pierce asked. He had come to stand beside her. "Terrified," Emma admitted. Pierce smiled slightly. It was rare to see him smile. "You saved one of their people. They're going to treat you like a hero. Just be yourself. That's what impressed them in the first place." The shuttle ride down to the planet was smooth. As they descended through the atmosphere, Emma saw more of the crystal formations up close. Some were as tall as mountains. The cities around them used bridges and platforms that seemed to float in the air. When the shuttle landed at the capital city, Emma was not prepared for what waited outside. Thousands of Thessians had gathered. They stood in complete silence, their scales shimmering with colors Emma had learned meant respect and reverence. As Emma walked down the shuttle ramp, every single Thessian bowed their heads. "Oh my God," Kate whispered behind her. Emma felt her legs shake, but she kept walking. Captain Pierce was on one side of her, Ben on the other. A delegation of Thessian officials waited at the base of the ramp. At the front was an elderly Thessian whose scales were pure white, with veins of silver running through them. "I am Matriarch Selene," the elderly Thessian said. Her voice was soft but carried authority. "On behalf of all Thessian people, we welcome you to our world, Emma Martinez." "Thank you for inviting me," Emma said. Her voice sounded small compared to the silence of the crowd. Selene gestured toward a large crystal building that rose above the city. "Come. The council waits in the Hall of Echoes." They walked through the city streets. The crowd followed at a respectful distance. Emma saw Thessian children peeking out from behind their parents, their scales bright with curiosity. She saw elders who looked ancient, their scales faded with time. All of them watched her pass with expressions of wonder. The Hall of Echoes was even more impressive inside than outside. The walls were made of crystal that seemed to glow with inner light. The ceiling was so high Emma could barely see it. In the center of the hall was a circular platform surrounded by 12 seats, where the council members sat. Vekran and Shireen were already there, standing near the platform. When Vekran saw Emma, his scales turned bright gold. Shireen pressed her hand over her heart in greeting. Emma was led to the platform. Captain Pierce, Ben, and Kate were shown to seats nearby. The council members all stood as Emma approached. She had read that Thessians almost never stood for anyone except their own rulers. The gesture made her nervous. "Emma Martinez," Matriarch Selene said. "You stand in a place where only the most significant moments in our history have occurred. Wars have been ended here. Leaders have been chosen here. The future of our people has been decided here 12 times in 50,000 years. Today marks the 13th time." Emma swallowed hard. "I'm honored, but I'm not sure I understand why I'm here." Selene's scales flickered with something that might have been amusement. "You are here because you have changed us. The Thessian people have always believed in logic above emotion. We have believed in self-reliance above dependence on others. We have seen acts of charity and sacrifice as weakness. For 50 millennia, this has been our way." Another council member stood. He was younger than Selene, but still ancient by human standards. "Then you gave your blood to save Vekran. You risked your life for a stranger. You acted without logic, driven only by the belief that his life had value. And in doing so, you have forced us to question everything we thought we knew about strength." A third council member rose. "Our scientists have studied the compatibility between human and Thessian blood. We have learned that this compatibility has always existed. For thousands of years, we could have been saving each other's lives, but we never tried. Because we never thought to ask for help. Because we believed asking for help was weakness. Celine spoke again. You have shown us that true strength is not refusing help. True strength is offering it, even when it costs you dearly. You have taught an ancient people something new, and that is a rare gift. Emma felt tears building in her eyes. I didn't mean to teach anyone anything. I just saw someone who needed help. Exactly, Celine said. You saw a need and you met it. No grand philosophy, no complex calculation of benefit, just simple, immediate compassion. That is the gift humanity brings to the galaxy. Celine walked down from her seat and approached Emma. She carried a small crystal box. The Council has decided to honor you in a way we have only done 12 times before. We are creating a memorial here in the Hall of Echoes. Your story will be preserved for all time, so that future generations of Thessians will remember the human who taught us to care. She opened the box. Inside was a crystal sculpture of two hands clasped together. One hand was clearly human, the other Thessian. Between them flowed a ribbon of red, carved from a ruby so deep and perfect it looked like actual blood. This represents the bond between our peoples, Celine said. It will stand in this hall forever. Emma could not hold back the tears anymore. They ran down her face freely. I don't deserve this. I really don't. I was just trying to do the right thing. Vecren stepped forward. His voice rang out clear and strong. That is exactly why you deserve it. You did not help me for glory. You did not help me for reward. You helped me because I was dying and you could save me. In all our history, we have never honored someone from another species. You are the first. You will not be the last. Celine placed the sculpture in Emma's hands. It was warm, like the crystal pendant Vecren had given her. There is one more thing. The Council has ratified the Martinez Accord. As of today, all Thessian medical facilities will share resources with human medical facilities. The treatments developed from your blood are already being distributed. 17 lives have been saved in the past week alone. 17 people who would be dead if not for your courage. Emma held the sculpture close to her chest. She looked around the hall at all the Thessian faces watching her. She saw respect in their eyes. She saw gratitude. She saw something she had never expected to see in a species known for cold logic. She saw warmth. I hope this means our peoples can be friends, Emma said. Real friends. Not just allies, but people who care about each other. Celine's scales shimmered with every color Emma had ever seen, and some she had not. We are already friends, Emma Martinez. You made sure of that when you gave your blood. Now we will make sure the galaxy never forgets what you did. The ceremony continued for hours. Each council member spoke about what Emma's actions meant to their people. Scientists presented their findings. Medical officers talked about the lives saved. Vecren and Shireen told their story again, this time in front of everyone. When it was finally over, Emma was exhausted, but there was one more thing she needed to do. She asked Celine if she could speak to the gathered crowd outside. They set up a platform where Emma could be seen and heard. Thousands of Thessians waited, silent and attentive. Emma stepped up to the platform with her friends beside her. I want to thank you all, Emma said. Her voice was amplified so everyone could hear. But I also want to explain something. I'm not special. I'm not a hero. I'm just a person who saw someone in trouble and tried to help. Any human would have done the same thing. That's who we are. We help. We care. We believe that every life matters, no matter what species. She paused, looking out at the sea of crystalline faces. My grandmother was saved by a stranger once. I never met that person. I don't know their name. But because of them, my whole family exists. I've always wanted to pass that kindness forward, to be the stranger who helps someone else. I'm glad I could do that for Vecren. But more than that, I'm glad it's bringing our peoples together. Emma held up the crystal sculpture. This memorial is beautiful. But the real memorial is every person saved by the Martinez Accord. Every human helped by Thessian medicine. Every Thessian helped be 6 months had passed since the ceremony on Thessia Prime. Emma was back to her normal duties aboard the Horizon, but nothing felt quite normal anymore. The ship's communications officer had to filter messages for her because she got hundreds every day. People from across the galaxy wanted to talk to her, thank her, or just say they had heard her story. Emma tried to go back to being just another crew member, but it was not that simple anymore. When she walked into the medical bay, the other staff treated her differently. With more respect, more distance. She missed the easy jokes and casual conversations from before. "You're famous now," Kate told her one evening as they ate dinner in the mess hall. "People don't know how to act around famous people." "I hate it," Emma said. "I just want things to go back to how they were." Ben laughed from across the table. "That's never going to happen. You're Emma Martinez, the woman who changed the galaxy. Get used to it." Emma threw a piece of bread at him. Things got more interesting when the Horizon was assigned to a joint mission with a Thessian science vessel. The mission was to explore an uncharted system that both species had interest in. It was the first official joint operation under the Martinez Accord. On the day the Thessian ship arrived, Emma stood in the docking bay with the rest of the crew. She watched the sleek Thessian vessel, called the Luminous Path, connect to the Horizon. The airlock doors opened, and the Thessian crew walked through. Emma's breath caught when she saw who was leading them. Vecren stepped into the bay, his scales bright and healthy. Behind him was Shireen, and behind her were a dozen other Thessians. All of them stopped when they saw Emma and placed their hands over their hearts. "You requested to be on this mission?" Emma asked Vecren. "I requested very strongly," Vecren said, with what might have been a smile. Thessians did not smile the way humans did, but Emma was learning to read their expressions. "I told the council I needed to see the stars with the human who gave me a second chance to see them." Working with the Thessian crew was strange at first. The two species had different methods and different perspectives on almost everything. But slowly, over days and then weeks, they learned to work together. Emma found herself explaining human medical procedures to Thessian doctors. She learned about Thessian biology and medicine in return. One day, a medical emergency arose. A human crew member was injured during a survey mission on a nearby moon. He was brought back to the Horizon bleeding heavily, and they discovered his blood type was rare. The ship did not have enough of it in storage. Without hesitation, the Thessian medical officer offered their universal treatment, the one developed from Emma's blood. It worked perfectly. The human crew member was saved. Later that night, Emma found Vecren standing at an observation window looking out at the stars. "Thank you," Emma said, "for helping save him." Vecren's scales shimmered with peaceful colors. "It was not me you should thank, it was you. Your gift keeps spreading. More lives saved, more bridges built." "I've been thinking about that," Emma said. She stood beside him watching the stars. "About how one choice can change so much. I was scared that day, you know. When I decided to give you my blood, I was terrified I would die, that it would not work, that I was being stupid." "But you did it anyway," Vecren said. "Yeah, I did it anyway, because not trying felt worse than trying and failing." Vecren was quiet for a moment. "On Thessia Prime we have a saying, 'A life saved is a universe preserved.' Because we cannot know all the ways that life will touch others, all the ripples it will create. By saving one life, you save all the lives that life will touch, all the good they will do, all the love they will give." Emma felt tears in her eyes. "That's beautiful." "It is truth. I have returned to my work with new eyes. I study the stars differently now. I appreciate each moment. And Shireen and I have decided to have a child. We were uncertain before, but your gift gave me clarity. Life is precious. It should be celebrated and continued. Emma looked at him with surprise. You're going to be a father? Because of you, Vekrin said. Another ripple. Another life that will exist because you chose to help a dying stranger. 3 months into the mission, Emma received a message that the galactic community was holding a summit on Haven's Rest, a neutral world where all species could gather. They wanted her to speak about the Martinez Accord and what it had accomplished. Captain Pierce called her to his office. You don't have to go if you don't want to, he said. I know you hate the attention. Emma thought about it. Part of her wanted to say no, but another part, the part that had given her blood to save Vekrin, knew she had to go. If her story could help bring species together, she had a responsibility to tell it. I'll go, she said. Haven's Rest was beautiful. The planet had been chosen as neutral ground because it belonged to no one species. Its cities were built to accommodate every kind of being. Emma had never seen so many different aliens in one place. The summit hall was massive. Representatives from over 40 species filled the seats. Emma stood backstage with Kate and Ben, both of whom had insisted on coming with her. I can't do this, Emma said. Her hands were shaking. Look at all of them. What am I supposed to say? Tell them the truth, Kate said. That's all you've ever done. When Emma walked onto the stage, the hall fell silent. She stood at the podium and looked out at the sea of alien faces. Some looked human, others looked like nothing she had ever imagined, but they were all looking at her with attention, waiting to hear what she had to say. Emma took a deep breath. My name is Emma Martinez. 6 months ago, I was just a medical technician on an exploration ship. I had never done anything important. I had never made a difference. Then one day, I saw someone dying, and I had the chance to help. So I did. She told them about Vekrin, about the accident, about the choice she made. She told them about her grandmother and the stranger who saved her. She told them about how one act of kindness had rippled through her entire family. The Martinez Accord has saved 143 lives so far, Emma continued. 143 people who are alive because 2 species chose to work together. Because we decided that helping each other was more important than staying separate. Emma paused, looking at the representatives. I know not everyone here likes humans. I know some of you think we're dangerous or unpredictable. Maybe we are. But we're also something else. We're caregivers. We're helpers. When we see someone in pain, something in us needs to make it better. It's not always logical. It's not always smart. But it's who we are. She held up the crystal pendant that Vekrin had given her. It caught the light and sent rainbow colors across the hall. A wise Thessian told me that a life saved is a universe preserved. Every person we help is a universe of possibilities. Every connection we make between species is a chance for something better. I'm not special. I'm not a hero. I'm just someone who believes that every life matters. Human, Thessian, Kryn, Quellan, or any other species. We all matter. Emma looked directly at the Thessian delegation. She saw matriarch Selene there, her white scales shimmering. The Thessians taught themselves to care because one human showed them compassion. Imagine what we could all learn from each other if we tried. Imagine what we could build together. When Emma finished speaking, the hall was silent. She worried she had said something wrong. Then the Thessian delegation stood, their scales bright with respect. The human delegation stood next, then the Quellan, then the Kryn. One by one, every species in the hall rose to their feet. It was not applause. Different species did not applaud. But it was acknowledgement. It was respect. It was a promise that her words had been heard. That evening, Emma walked through Haven's Rest with Ben and Kate. The city was lit up with lights from 1,000 different cultures, music from dozens of worlds mixed in the air. Emma saw humans talking with Thessians. She saw Kryn sharing meals with Quellan. She saw children of different species playing together. "You did that," Ben said quietly. "Maybe not all of it, but you started it." Emma shook her head. "I just helped one person. The rest happened because people chose to be better." They passed a public news terminal. The screen showed coverage of her speech. Headlines scrolled by in multiple languages. One human news feed said, "Martinez's speech moves galactic leaders." A Thessian news source said, "The human who taught us to care." Emma looked away from the screen. She did not need to see the headlines. She knew what she had done, and it was enough. They reached a park area where a fountain was decorated with symbols from every member species of the galactic community. Emma sat on a bench and looked up at the sky. It was full of stars and ships from 100 different worlds. "Do you think it will last?" Kate asked. "This peace, this cooperation?" "I don't know," Emma said honestly. "But I think it's worth fighting for. Every time someone chooses to help instead of hurt, every time someone sees past differences to the person underneath, we get a little bit closer to something better." A Thessian family walked by. The parents saw Emma and stopped. They placed their hands over their hearts. Their young child, no more than a few years old by human standards, mimicked the gesture with tiny hands. The child's scales were bright with curiosity and joy. Emma smiled and returned the gesture. The family moved on, but the moment stayed with her. "That child will grow up in a world where humans and Thessians work together," Emma said. "They'll see it as normal, natural. They won't remember a time when our species were strangers. That's the real victory, not the speeches or the ceremonies." "That child." Ben sat down beside her. "You know your name is going to be in history books, right? Centuries from now, people will still be talking about Emma Martinez." Emma laughed softly. "That's weird to think about. I just hope they remember the right things. Not that I was brave or special, but that I cared. That I saw someone who needed help and I helped them. I hope that becomes normal. I hope kindness becomes so common that nobody thinks it's special anymore." Kate joined them on the bench. "That's a good hope." They sat together in comfortable silence, watching the alien sky. Emma touched the crystal pendant at her neck. She thought about Vecrin, alive and healthy, about to become a father. She thought about the 143 people saved by the Martinez Accord. She thought about her grandmother, who had been saved by a stranger so long ago. One choice had changed everything. One decision to help had rippled out across the stars. Emma did not know what would happen next, if the peace would last, or if her name would truly echo across worlds. But she knew one thing for certain. If she had to make the choice again, she would. Without hesitation. Without doubt. Because that was what it meant to be human. To see someone in need and to help, even when it was hard, even when it was dangerous, even when the person you were helping was a stranger from a world you had never seen. That was humanity's gift to the galaxy. Not weapons or technology or strength. Just simple, immediate compassion. And in a universe that could be cold and dark, that gift burned brighter than any star. Why human care? That's what I want to be remembered for. Not for being brave, but for starting something that will save lives long after I'm gone. The crowd stood in silence for a long moment. Then, one by one, they began to place their hands over their hearts. The gesture spread through the crowd like a wave. Thousands of Thessians, all showing their deepest respect. Emma felt Kate squeeze her shoulder. She felt Ben standing tall beside her. She felt Captain Pierce's hand on her back, steadying her. She had come to this world as just a medical technician. She was leaving as a bridge between civilizations. And somewhere in the galaxy, people were alive because she had chosen to help. It was more than enough. Medical teams are already using what they learned. They saved 3 people yesterday using the new protocols. 3 people who would have died. Emma looked at her friend. "Do you think it was worth it?" Almost dying, I mean. Kate smiled. Emma, you changed the galaxy. You built a bridge between two civilizations. You proved that humans are more than just warriors or explorers. You showed them we care. Yeah, I think it was worth it. Emma nodded slowly. She touched the pendant again. Somewhere on this station, Vecren was alive. Somewhere in the galaxy, people were being saved by the treatments her sacrifice had made possible. Somewhere, her name was being spoken with respect by species she had never met. It was a lot to take in. But as Emma sat there, recovering her strength day by day, she realized something important. She would do it all again, without hesitation, without doubt, because that was what it meant to be human, to see someone in need and to help, no matter the cost. The galaxy was learning that now, and Emma Martinez was the one teaching them. Why? He asked simply. Emma tried to answer, but the world was fading. She heard Kate calling her name. She felt someone lowering her down onto the table. Bex was saying something about getting her to intensive care. The last thing Emma saw before darkness took her was Vecren's scales shimmering with color, bright and alive. She had done it. He was going to live. Then everything went black, and Emma fell into a deep sleep. She did not hear the alarms that went off when her blood pressure dropped dangerously low. She did not hear Captain Pierce shouting for more doctors. She did not hear Shireen's voice, promising that this sacrifice would never be forgotten, but she would hear about it all later. She would hear about how the news of what she had done spread through the station in minutes, how messages started coming in from the Thessian homeworld, how the galactic community began to learn about the human who gave her blood to save an alien. For now, Emma just slept, her body working hard to recover from what she had given. And in the bed next to her, Vecren lived, his scales bright with colors that spoke of gratitude, too deep for words. "We have to try," Emma said. "Set it up." The doctor stared at her for a long moment. Then he nodded. "You are either very brave or very foolish, human. Perhaps both. Come, we must move quickly." They lifted Vecren onto a stretcher and rushed him to the medical bay. Emma ran beside them, her hand still pressing on his wound. She did not know if this would work. She did not know if she was making the right choice, but she knew she had to try, because that was what humans did. They helped, even when it was hard, even when it was dangerous, even when the person they were helping was a stranger from a world they had never seen. She just hoped it would be enough.